forward to that. Now, we're going to talk basketball now, because if you're a basketball fan here in London, you will know that the Hoopsfix All-Star Classic returns this weekend, and it will be hosted at Crystal Palace National Sports Centre, a new venue for the event, which welcomes back fans for the first time since 2019 for obvious reasons, as 48 of the best young basketball players from across the United Kingdom are able to showcase their talents in front of a crowd of around 1,000 people. Pleased to say we can speak to Sam Netter, the founder of the event. Good evening, Sam.
Good evening.
Great to be back and in front of crowds, I'm assuming.
Yes, massively excited about that. Obviously, it's been a long time coming, and there's so many things to think about which we haven't thought about for 2 years. But yeah, to be able to welcome back fans, and also it's going to be a record crowd for us. Really looking forward to it, and hopefully it should be a great day.
So just explain exactly what's happening, because I was sort of looking at a running order of events. We've got young players, we've got men and women as well taking part. And is this so people can see what they're up to? Is this so sort of scouts can come and watch for future stars?
Definitely. The idea is, spotlighting the top young players in the country. So we have 24 of the best under-19 boys and 24 of the best under-19 girls playing in a series of all-star games. And then there's also a three-point shootout and a dunk contest. And then sort of as part of that, around the day, we have a clinic in the morning for under-12s from the area, sort of come by and get coached by GB senior players. And then we also do a coaching clinic to kind of teach coaches from some of the best in the UK their sort of secrets of the trade, so they can go back to their clubs and obviously hope and sort of grow the game. The whole thing is, as much as it's about spotlighting the young talent, it's also about raising funds to give back and reinvest into the game to help grow British basketball. Yeah,
talk a bit more about that, because as you say, the proceeds are going back into the growth of the sport in London.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we've got a foundation, the Hoopsfix Foundation. We completed our first basketball court renovation last year in Clapham Common, working with Foot Locker and the NBA and Basketball England. We kind of transformed the space into an amazing outdoor court with seating for 280, a beautiful artwork design, perspex backboards, spring-loaded rims. And that was done, our contribution from the foundation was done with ticket sales, with the proceeds from the ticket sales from the Hoopsfix All-Star Classic. So the initial plan when we set out to sort of do these renovations was to do one in each of the major cities. So Birmingham and Manchester are kind of up next. And that is what the proceeds from this year is going to go towards. We're trying to get one done in Birmingham this year around the Commonwealth Games, obviously. And so, yeah, all the money that's raised will go back into the game and hopefully, help push the sport forward.
Because these young players, they can see a route, can't they? I think we've been speaking to the London Lions a lot this season about their success, and I think even chance of maybe playing in the NBA.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to have our first sort of homegrown British player drafted into the NBA in a month's time, Jeremy Sochan, who played at Itchen and Solent down in Southampton before departing overseas. He actually played in the Hoopsfix All-Star Classic as a 16-year-old 2 years ago. So it's slowly coming there. There are players that are developing. There's a lot of talent, and with players like Jeremy sort of breaking that barrier, we haven't had a British player drafted into the NBA in 12 years now. It kind of shows that it's possible, and hopefully will inspire the next one to come through.
You spoke about the pandemic, which has obviously affected the opportunity for you to put on this event, I'm assuming previously of the last couple of years, and to invite fans as well. But also, I think a big issue that we talk about a lot on this programme, and I'm sure that you're aware of, is people from BAC and minority ethnic backgrounds, from low socioeconomic backgrounds as well, just needing to be targeted as far as sport and activity, and that being something that basketball, I'm assuming, is really at the forefront of in London especially.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's a lot of frustration within the basketball community because the sport is massively underfunded. And I don't want to be on here complaining all the time about the sport doesn't gets its deserved due. But the reality is,
why do you think that is? Is it one of these catch-22 things? If you show us that the sponsors won't sponsor something until they see it on bigger platforms, and the bigger platforms won't put it on until they have the sponsorship. Is that the issue?
There is definitely an element of it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. But then at the same time, I don't think the government needs to sort of get off the hook here. The reality is they've released multiple reports that say that after coming out of COVID, the two groups that have been disproportionately affected are people from low socioeconomic backgrounds and people from Black and minority ethnic backgrounds. Basketball by far has the highest proportion of participants from Black and minority ethnic backgrounds and the highest percentage of participants from low socioeconomic backgrounds. So it seems like there's an easy win there. If the government is trying to target those groups because they've been disproportionately affected by COVID, then why not give the sport more funding?
And I'm assuming all the facilities are there. It's not as if you have to build anything necessarily, is it?
I mean, it's funny you say that. Facilities is a massive issue. As much as there are facilities that exist, what the sport needs is purpose-built basketball facilities that are owned by and ran by clubs. The reality is, when they're leisure centres, the cost of hire is extortionate, especially if you're just a single basketball player and you want to hire a half court to play indoors. Most of the times that's just not possible because of the cost. So there definitely needs to be a widespread facility strategy to improve and increase the number of dedicated basketball facilities that are up and around the country. And there is being progress made on that front. Leicester Riders and Newcastle Eagles now have got their own facilities. Bristol is building their own venue. Sheffield are working on their own venue. So there is progress being made in that area, but there's still, a lot of room for growth.
And as far as this event is concerned, a new venue because you've kind of found a bigger space for it, which must be good news.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we've sold out the event every year that it's happened. So this year we thought let's step it up a little bit and see how far we can push it to and what the hunger is like. We've been pleasantly surprised by the reception. As you mentioned there, we're on track for over 1,000 people at Crystal Palace on Saturday. Which when you think about it, to watch it's junior basketball. To watch junior basketball, that is a great crowd and something that we're incredibly proud of. So hopefully it's the start of something bigger and we can continue to build upon it every single year.
And so from your point of view, as the founder of this, what was your aim initially? And are you achieving what you wanted to with this?
I mean, the aim initially was to provide a platform and an exposure platform for these young players, and I think it's definitely doing that, and then giving back to the game in the process, and it's definitely done that as well. Clapham Common would not have happened if we were not running the Hoopsfix All-Star Classic, and just like the court in Birmingham, it probably wouldn't happen if we weren't running the Hoopsfix All-Star Classic. So, we're slowly getting there. I think when I think about the scale of ambition that I have, we're nowhere close to sort of scratching the surface, but we've definitely made strides, and hopefully it just keeps on trending in that upwards direction.
And is the inclusion of the women, is that a new thing, or has that always been something you've been passionate to make sure has been involved as part of this?
Well, we added in the women in 2019 for the first time. That was after we signed a 3-year sponsorship deal with Nike, and that gave us extra funding to be able to do that. Unfortunately, we didn't have the money to do it in the first place, so we stuck with the boys. But now we're blessed to be in a space where we've got the funding with great sponsors. We're working with Jordan Brand this year, we're working with Foot Locker this year, we're working with Molten this year, to be able to provide a platform for both girls and boys, which is drastically needed. It's not just about the boys. Basketball is majority male dominated in this country because obviously we have netball where a lot of female players end up going to. But there is a massive sort of hunger for basketball as well amongst females. And I think they need to see girls having success and being spotlighted, because the reality is if you don't see it, like why will you think that you can do it? So it's really about providing those role models, and hopefully again with the addition of the sort of the under 12 clinics in the morning and ensuring that a lot of younger players are there, a lot of younger females are there, they'll look up to these players and hopefully be the next ones up in a few years' time. We'll be able to play. And actually, funnily enough, I say that there was a girl, Leah Edwards, who attended the first event in 2014 she must have been 12, 13 at the time. And then 4 or 5 years later in our first, in 2021, she was then playing as one of the top under 19s in the country. So there's like a real nice cycle to it where we're kind of involving the grassroots and then feeding them all the way through into the game in years to come.
Excellent. Well, I'm hoping to be there. Are you going to be there? I'm assuming you are.
I will be there running around like a madman, I'm sure, but I look forward to meeting you.
Great. I will grab you. I will look for that madman and I will grab you for a chat on our Saturday sports show. So we will be there. Sam, really appreciate your time this evening. As I say, we will look forward to being there on Saturday as part of the Saturday sports show, the Hoopsfix All-Star Classic. It will be at Crystal Palace National Sports Centre this Saturday, and it's about those young basketball stars and what they can achieve.